viewers, hello and welcome to a new episode of our program Cairo Local Time, during which we're going to bring you the latest political, economic and also social events that are taking place in Egypt. We are going also to review the military and the tourism magazine. We are joined today in this episode with a phone call from Canada by the life coach Dalia Mustafa, and we are also joined in this episode for today with Amr Abdel Rahman, who is a journalist and a chief editor. Please join us on our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/CLT Nile TV, or on our phone number 25794-828. A short break and we will be back. Welcome back. We are going to start this episode with our local news bulletin. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi met with a visiting Canadian parliamentary delegation in the presidential palace in Cairo's district Heliopolis on Egypt's current political and economic issues. El-Sisi discussed the government's latest efforts to create jobs and to improve conditions for foreign investments. The president spoke on Egypt's efforts to combat terrorism, emphasizing the need for international cooperation and to face problems that threaten all countries. The details in the following report.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi stated during his meeting with a Canadian parliamentary delegation on Saturday that their visit to Egypt is a good opportunity to strengthen parliamentary relations between both countries. The Canadian parliamentary delegation included members of the Canadian and House of Commons. It was headed by Robert Oliphant, head of the Standing Committee on Public Safety and National Security. The meeting was held in order to discuss the enhancement of bilateral relations between both countries. The president also stressed on Egypt's concern of promoting bilateral cooperation with Canada in various fields, pointing out that the last period has seen a positive development in bilateral relations, as well as mutual understanding for the regional and international challenges faced by Egypt and the region, which required enhanced consultation and coordination. El-Sisi called for more communication between the Canadian and Egyptian parliaments. He also spoke on the importance of promoting cultural and scientific relations between the two countries, explaining that there are a large number of Egyptians living in and contributing to Canada, as well as hundreds of Egyptian students studying in Canadian universities. The delegation confirmed Canada's support for Egypt's development efforts, and it also noted that they understand the challenges facing Egypt, particularly at the economic level, in addition to terrorism and ongoing security threats. Sisi reviewed the latest political and economic situation in Egypt. Following the meeting with President El-Sisi, the delegation also met with the Parliamentary Foreign Affairs Committee, in which they discussed the development of their bilateral relations as well as regional issues.
Well, the UN Special Coordinator for the Middle East peace process, Nikolai Maldinov, arrived in Cairo on Monday, coming from Abu Dhabi for a two-day official visit. Maldinov will meet a number of senior officials to discuss the latest developments of peace process between Palestinian and Israeli sides and ways to resume negotiations between them in the light of peace conference held in France earlier this month. Well, the Prime Minister for International Cooperation, Sahar al-Nasr, signed an agreement with Ahmed Abu Hashima, who is the head of Egyptian Steel, and Hussam al-Abbani, the head of Orman Charity Association to develop villages around Egypt. Sahar Nasr said that the agreement represents the true cooperation between the government, private sector, and civil society organizations. She stated that establishing sustainable development cannot be done without cooperation between all segments of society. Nasr explained that the agreement gives the government the ability to cooperate with both Egyptian Steel and Orman to decide which villages need development the most based on data collected by the Central Agency for Public Mobilizations and Statistics. Well, the Egyptian authorities have announced that a new Russian consulate officially opened its doors in Egypt's Red Sea resort of Hurghada. The Russian consulate, which was established by the government decree issued in the month of November in 2015, is the third in Egypt, joining two other located in Cairo and Alexandria. The details in the following report.
A new Russian consulate officially opened its doors in Egypt's Red Sea resort of Hurghada. The Russian consulate, which was established by governmental decree issued in November 2015, is the third in Egypt, joining two others located in Cairo and Alexandria. The attendees at the opening ceremony included the governor of the Red Sea, General Ahmed Abdullah, the Russian consul Gamshid Politev, a number of Russian investors and members of the Russian community in Hurghada. Consulate has already been providing consultations to Russians on citizenship matters, notary certification legislation, and other issues, according to a statement by Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova. The consulate is now ready to provide all services and will be attending to more than 20,000 Russian civilians who live permanently in Hurghada. This statement comes after Russian security delegations carried out last week a 5-day inspection of Hurghada airport. The opening of the consulate is a positive step towards the recovery of the tourist industry that was hit since the crash of a Russian plane in Sinai. Hurghada has long been a popular tourist destination for Russia.
And now to shed more light on the latest developments which occurred in the military field, we present the Military Magazine, reviewing the achievements and the latest developments with Nile TV's Yasmin Al-Affas.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi held a meeting with Prime Minister Sharif Ismail, Minister of Defense Suri Subhi, Governor of the Central Bank Tariq Amer, and the Ministers of Interior, Justice and Finance. The President discussed measures taken to curb the hike in the prices of medicines and affirmed the need to monitor the market. The President also discussed the security situation in Sinai, appreciating the efforts exerted by the armed forces and police in securing the nation and reining terrorist attacks. Armed Forces Commander-in-Chief and Defense Minister Colonel General Suri Subhi witnessed the ceremony of ending the preparatory period for students of college and military institutes. The ceremony included batches of 113 warplanes, 71 naval, 86 air, 58 technical military, 48 air defense, and 48 technical studies batch field Marshal Mohammed Abdul Halim Abu Ghazala, which includes a selection of students coming from some Arab countries as Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Palestine, Somalia, and South Sudan. The ceremony also witnessed profiles of the various activities and military training during the preparation period of students, depicting one day in the military life of a student in the military academy and aspects of the care provided to them. Armed Forces Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Mahmoud Hagazi attended on Sunday a military drill carried out by the Egyptian Special Forces. The drill was conducted as part of efforts to improve the level of efficiency and combat readiness of the armed forces units and formations.
And now we are joined by a phone call from Canada by Dalia Mustafa, the psychological counselor and life coach. Welcome, Ms. Dalia.
Welcome. Thank you so much for the pleasure of having me today.
Thank you for joining Nile TV. Well, first I'd like to ask you what are the motives that made you change your career from engineering to social volunteering services?
Well, it's been a strong drive to serve humanity. I was involved in charity work all along my life in school, university, through non-governmental organizations such as Rotary. So it was moreover of combining my passion for serving humanity, serving community, contributing to the development of our country, our youth, our family lives, in addition to my skills in public speaking and writing as well.
Okay, and what were the certificates that you had obtained through your new career?
I have a professional certificate in life coaching from Erickson College at Vancouver, Canada. And I have also a professional certificate of Master Soul Coaching from the Soul Coaching Institute in the United States from California. And I also have a Neuro-Linguistic Programming certificate from Dr. Richard Bandler Institute in the United States. And I'm presently as well pursuing my PhD degree at Walden University in Leadership, Policy, and Change.
Okay. What is the importance of this field in general, and especially for Egypt?
Well, the importance of life coaching, counseling, and leadership are mainly being able to help others build bridges through effective communication, team building, learning about leadership, learning how to serve a purpose, a goal. Whether this in Egypt, for example, would be building the nations right now as after the revolution of the 25th of January, whether it's building effective communication among couples in a marriage, whether it's building bridges between parents and children. So really it helps as well in creating that dialogue, having a safe environment for speaking, letting go of judgment, fear, anger, and allowing one to reach their full purpose of life, knowing their identity and their values and beliefs. It helps a lot from a psychological perspective as well, helping people getting rid of their self-limiting beliefs and helping as well as they proceed with a vision and mission in their life.
Yeah, okay. And what are the skills and qualifications needed to be a life coach?
The qualifications needed to be a life coach is actually to be recognized, to have a degree from actually a recognized and accreditable institution, then to have hours of training via a mentor who can supervise actually your practice with your clients, and then build out hours of practice. We have 3 levels of life coaches. One of them is the basic level, one of them is the professional level, and one of them is the master level. The master level, for example, it requires 750 hours of training with clients.
And in your opinion, would you reveal the importance of life coaching in our society through different means such as media?
It's very important actually, and this is why I find that really public speaking really helps. I do have as well a radio show, and I am preparing for an upcoming TV show, because you want to help to make sure to break the stigmas and taboos about mental health. You want to encourage people actually to get out of the denial stage and reach out to find solutions for their problems.
Yeah. Mrs. Dalia Mustafa, the psychological counselor and life coach from Canada, thank you very much for joining Nile TV International. And now we are going to watch the tourism magazine that presents the latest developments and events that occurred recently with Nile TV's representative Abir Mutwalli.
An inventory of artifacts at a number of museum stores was held by 160 commissions affiliated to the Ministry of Antiquities across all governorates. Ilham Saleh, head of Antiquities Ministry's Museum section, said that the ministry has formed 200 commissions to conduct a stocktake of artifacts at all museums in Cairo and other governorates. She said that the ministry has formed 100 additional commissions several months ago to help in inventory, bringing the total number of commissions to 300. Salah continued that these commissions also observe the delivery and receipt of the artifacts from one storage space to another. They record and document the artifacts by collecting data of the museum's records, and each of them may include more than one artifact. Salah pointed out that the ministry is working on creating an electronic linkage between museums and the activation of database to ease conducting investors and artifacts in the coming years. The Parliament's Tourism Committee filed a briefing request to the Minister of Antiquities Khalid Al-Anani to hold an inventory of Egyptian artifacts in the current period. Hotel occupancy rates stabilized in Hurghada and Sharm el-Sheikh during the first week of January, selling at 45 to 50% across the investors. According to investors, the hotel occupancy rates stabilized in Hurghada and Sharm el-Sheikh during the first week of January, setting at 45 to 50%. Investors said that the two cities are considered to have the highest hotel occupancy rates over the past month due to high booking rates at the beginning of December. Hisham Ali, head of South Sinai Investors Association, said that reservation increased occupancy in Sharm el-Sheikh during the last period to 50%. The head of Politician Investors Association believes that most guests are Egyptians because hotel offers attracted primary Egyptian families to spend the Christmas holiday there. He expects an influx of foreign tourism to Sharm el-Sheikh during January in light of the resumption of Germany's flights to the region, as well as a tourist influx from Eastern European countries, especially Poland and the Ukraine. Inbound tourist traffic to Egypt during 2016 declined to 5.3 million tourists compared to 9.3 million tourists during 2015. Sharm el-Sheikh accounts for 50% of the total capacity of hotels operating in South Sinai, while represents 69,000 hotel rooms, according to the Egyptian Chamber of Hotels. Mohammed Mahmoud, a manager at one of Sharm el-Sheikh's hotels, said that the rate of Egyptian guests is higher than foreigners in Sharm el-Sheikh in light of the recent discounts offered by hotels to attract Egyptians.
welcome back. In today's episode, we are joined by Mr. Amr Abdurrahman, the journalist and chief editor. We are going to talk about the main topic for this episode, the Egyptian and world press and its effect on our political and social life. Mr. Amr Abdurrahman, the journalist and chief editor, thank you very much for joining Nile TV.
Thank you for having me and this very important program, Cairo Local Time. This is very important and new era of programs in the channel.
Thank you very much, sir. It's our pleasure. First, we'd like that you speak to us about the history of journalism in Egypt.
Well, let's talk about the very beginnings. It came with the French invasion, the basic meanings of journalism, the French invasion to Egypt about 300 years ago. Then we have started to, of course, we have thrown out the invaders, and then we have just captured the meaning, the principle, the press, the journalism. This is the very important sign for a new opened mind in Egypt. By this time, we were just also starting to feel free from another invasion, which was the Turkish invasion. Of course, we have freed our country from both invasions along the time. Trying to make our own character, the Egyptian character of knowledge, of how to handle the information, of how to transport the information from the source to the ordinary person at home, at the street, at his work. By years have passed, so many things have changed.
Yes.
Of course, we have witnessed a new understanding of media shaped up by two countries, or maybe three countries: Britain, and the US and France. Isn't it time for us, as Egypt, to create our own personality, our own media stereotype, away from those umbrellas we have been under for 100 years before? It is time, and we have the capability, and we have the person in charge, we have the qualifications to start a new Egyptian era of media, true media that is talking by the tongue of Egypt, using our own sources, not the other sources like Associated Press or Reuters or whatsoever.
Of course, yes.
We need our own media to start this new era, to make a better future, a stronger and an independent future for our media, depending on our own principles, our own roots. That is go back so very long in time in history.
Of course. And what is the importance of the journalism in spreading knowledge to the society?
It's the easy way, of course, to educate, to raise the culture of the ordinary person. Of course, it should be handled with higher care and very intensive concentration by those who are in charge of this weapon. It can be a weapon sometimes, just not only a tool for knowledge, but also can be a weapon against nations that we have witnessed already for this past decade, or maybe we can say about those 5 years ago. We have witnessed that we are already facing what the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has just declared it, the fourth generation of war. Media is one of the main instruments and the main weapons in this war against this country. And we should not only defend our own stability and our own independence, but also to strike back with our own media weapons, patriotic weapons.
Sure. We'd like to know that you illustrate to us the role of the government towards the syndicate of journalism?
It's too early to say that we have a perfect shape of what our dreams can be accomplished by. But in the meantime, we should have our own expectations, our own hopes.
Of course.
Maybe we need a new aspect to speak about journalism by the broad, of course, the wide meaning, the wide aspect of journalism, not only written or not only online, not only, but also by the television, which is very important here. We need to cultivate some new traditional, at the same time, principles. We are Misr, not Egypt.
Yes.
We are Misr. We need to get back to the roots. We are Misr. There is a country that is called Ivory Coast, or Côte d'Ivoire.
Okay.
It has changed its name to the native, the original
Yes.
name. We deserve this action to be taken sometime. We need to know that our history is written by our own enemies.
Yes.
When we were occupied by the British Empire, that we have stepped it down and defeated it in the war of '56. By this time, only the British, our enemies, those are the ones who wrote our history. How can you expect our history to be written when it's written by our enemies?
Others, of
course, it's
occupiers
not
or occupiers.
the right history. We have a wider and a better and stronger history. We have 20,000 years and more of history, not only 3 or even 7.
Yes.
1,000 years of history. Okay. We need to write our own history from the beginning. We need to teach the children in schools and to know, to realize the greatness of our own country. Then we can feel that it's easy to regain our identity, that identity that the new generation are lacking to have. They don't have true identity. Why? Because they didn't know how greater and the greatest country and the greatest nation of all, the Egyptian or the Misrians, are.
I'd like to ask you, sir, concerning the schools and the families, how can a school or the family make the children know the importance of the press, although they are still young children?
Well, you don't give what you like. You can't just give what you don't have. It's been a while. We were separated from our own love of our country.
Yes.
And devoting to it what it really represents. This can be just taken by time, and also by persistence, to make sure that we change the principles through the education and through the media. We need this program and other programs to do its role, because only you, a program like you, can take this role. I don't believe, and I don't expect the private programs from other accomplished by businessmen to teach people patriotism, and I don't expect them to show people the road to defend their country and to protect their country in the right way. I believe this is the message that only you can handle and only you can deliver.
So what's the social role that the press plays in our life?
Well, we can say that the paper, the newspapers are just going into a very dangerous tunnel.
Why do you think
we can
so?
say it's concentrated. The concentration now is on online newspapers or websites. Of course, the channels are just capturing the most of the attention of the people. Of course, especially the young generation. We need Anyway, I just believe that the newspaper, the written paper, will maintain its existence for all time to come, side by side, along with channels, TV channels, and online websites.
And to what extent does the Egyptian constitution protect the journalism freedom?
Well, of course, it has protected that sort of freedom that we cannot just abandon. Very important. We cannot live without freedom of the press. But also, we need to know that freedom of the press just might or should be going side by side by patriotic mentalities, and those who have charge of those newspapers, they should know that each and every word they write and be read by other eyes of the people can just lead them or mislead them, can take them to the right way, the right course, or direct them to another course against their own country. It's a very important edge to walk upon.
Yes.
And it's very important, and we need new minds to be created for a new face of our media, Egyptian or Misri media, that can represent the new Egypt, the new country we are really building right now for the future.
Okay. And what's the difference between the Egyptian press and the world press? Of course, each has its trend.
Well, of course, we have our own stars. Mustafa Amin, Mohammed Tabai, too many stars in our media and press as writers, but not a trend. We cannot just, we have the Egyptian trend. Or maybe along the continent in Africa, maybe in the Middle East, maybe in the region, but not around the world. Yes. Of course, we are the leaders. We are the leaders, the media leaders, and the press leaders in the region and in the continent. That goes without saying. Only we have now some competition from other channels, Arabic or whatever, just because those channels are just taking exactly the American or the Western trend. They have just lost the Arabic identity. Maybe they can compete with us, maybe. Maybe sometimes they achieve some victories against us, but they don't have the Arabic soul in them.
Yes.
I don't want to name, of course, channels, but each and every those channels just lost its way, only taking the Western way to represent the truth. They plant in the mind, the Arabic mind, the Western ideas of freedom, of democracy, of policy, of whatsoever. This is very aggressive against our own mind. We need to realize and shape up our own principles, our own press ideas and thoughts. We need to know that we are, as Arabs, as Egyptians, as Misrians, we are the leaders and the nations that have taught the whole world,
of course,
what the religion is, what the freedom is, what the civilization is. Yeah. We cannot just forget that 20,000 years ago, we were the master of the world. Our own borders as Egypt, as Misr, it was from Furat River to Libyan borders down to the sources of the Nile.
Yes.
This was Egypt.
Yes.
At the same time, Europe was never existed as countries.
Yeah.
In America, they were just gypsies living in a land without ownership.
And what are your expectations for journalism in Egypt in the year 2017?
Well, I believe that the same spirit that is taking on the lead of our Egyptian citizens here will be reflected in the new era of media, accomplished by those who realize the very importance of this stage we are passing on right now, and we need to create our own personality,
Of course.
our own ideas, represent our own aspects of freedom, of independence, of democracy, of transparency. You see what I mean? We need to cultivate our own ideas by our own hands and to teach the world again what the true meaning of press and the freedom of the press, and the true meaning of a word transported from a source to a citizen.
Yes. With this, we come to the end of this interview. We thank you very much, Mr. Amr Abdurrahman,
Thank you.
the chief editor and the journalist.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
With this, my dear viewers, we come to the end of this episode of our program, Cairo Local Time. I'm Aman Mukhtar. Thank you for watching.